This is a Level 2 Functional Skills Maths paper from NCFE. It's split into two parts. In the first part you can't use a calculator, but you can in the second part. This is the first part. Activity 1, Social Media. Tara is a social media influencer. She asked her followers to choose between pizza and ice cream as their favorite treat. 40% of her followers chose ice cream. What is the probability a follower chosen at random did not choose ice cream? Give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. So if 40% chose ice cream, then 60% did not choose ice cream, because both of them combined need to add up to 100%. So that now is 60 out of 100. That's what 60% means. Simplified, in the simplest form, we can divide these by 10 first. Both of the numbers can be divided by 10. So 60 divided by 10 gives us 6. 100 divided by 10 gives us 10. So we've got 6 tenths. Now we can divide by 2. So that gives us 3/5. And this is the furthest we can go because this is the simplest form of the fraction. Tara had 1.795 million followers in 2020. This was 250% of the number of followers she had in 2019. How many followers did Tara have in 2019? Give your answer in millions. So if we represent the number of followers she had in 2019 with this bar, so that's the original 100% number, or amount, whatever you want to call it. Now, in 2020, she's got not only double, but more than that. So that's another 50%. So there is another 100 and another 50. We know that in total, this is 1.795 million. What we need to work out is what is that 100% number. So we could divide by 2.5. We could also imagine splitting the total into 5 equal parts to give 50% for each. Because that would be easy to calculate. And then once we have the 50%, we can just double that to get the 100% amount. So 1.795, if I divide this by 5, how many 5s would fit into 1? That would be 0. So 0 times 5 is 0. 1 is carried over. We transfer the decimal point over to the answer. Now, how many 5s into 17? That would be 3 of them. 3 times 5 is 15, so there is 2 remaining from the 17. How many 5s into 29? That is going to be 5, because 5 times 5 is 25. So we have 4 remaining. 5s into 45, that is exactly 9. So 0.359 million is what 50% is equal to. So if we just do 0.359, add 0.359, so doubling that, we get 18 here, so 1 is carried over, then 11, so we have 7, and we have the 100% amount, which would have been this one. So that's what it was in 2019. So 0.718 million. Tara had 1.795 million followers in 2020. Her closest competitor had 2.846 million followers in 2020. Work out 2.846, take away 1.795. So we'll use the column method here. 6, take away 1.795. So we've lined them up correctly. So we've got the decimal point under the decimal point, units under the units, tenths under the tenths, and so on. So now 6 take away 5 gives us 1. We've got to take away 9 from the 4, which means we've got to borrow 1 from the 8, so that becomes 7, this becomes 14. So 14 take away 9 gives us 5. 7 take away 7 gives us 0. 2 take away 1 is 1. So the answer is 1.051. Tara posts videos on social media. It takes 2 people 6 hours to edit one video. How much time will 3 people take to edit one video if they work at the same rate? So it takes 2 people 6 hours. How much time will it take 3 people? This is inverse proportion. So if we look at this, to get from 2 to 3, we've multiplied by 1.5. So 1.5. It's the same as doing 3 divided by 2. Half in 3, that's going to give us 1.5. Now, on the other side, we're going to do divided by 1.5. So 6 divided by 1.5. Now that might seem like a lot to do or too difficult to do, but all that is asking is how many 1.5s fit into 6. So 1.5 and 1.5, if you add them together, gives you 3. Think of £1.50. So 3 and 3 gives us 6. So practically 4 lots of 1.5 gives us 6. Give us 6. So the answer is 4. Another method you could use with inverse proportion is these 2 numbers you have here in the ratio. If you multiply them together and then divide by the other number you have. So that was a 3. So 2 times 6 is 12. Divided by 3 gives us 4. This table shows the price charged by 90 influencers for a sponsored post in 2020. Tara charges £171.99 per post. She works out an estimate of the mean charge per sponsored post for all the other influencers. Tara thinks she charges less than the estimated mean. Is she correct? Show how you decide. So, estimated mean, we're going to have to find the midpoint between 0 and 100, which is 50. Midpoint between 100 and 250. So if you take away 100 from 250, that gives us 150. Half of that is 75, so adding 75 to 100 gives us 175. Now, midpoint between 250 and 500. Take away 250 from 500, that gives us 250. Half of that is 125. Add that to 250. That gives us 375. And the midpoint between 500 and 1000, Take away 500 from 1000 gives us 500. Half of 500 is 250. Add that to 500 gives us 750. So we'll now multiply these by the number of influences, which is frequency practically. So 37 times 50, you could do it in different ways. The way I'll do it is multiply 37 by 100 first, because that is easy to do. You can add the 2 zeros at the end, so that gives us 3,700. And then I'm just going to halve that. So 3,700 divided by 2. How many 2's fit into 3? That is 1 and 1 remaining. 2's into 17, that is 8, and 1 remaining. 2's into 10, that is 5, and then 2's into 0, that is 0. So 1,850. What I did there, multiplying by 100 and then halving, is the same as multiplying 37 by 50, because half of 100 is 50. So times 100, then divide by 2, is the same as multiplying by 50 in the first place. Now 35 times 175. We'll do this using the column method. So 5 times 5 gives us 25. 2 carried over. 5 times 7 is 35, and the 2 is 37. 5 times 1 is 5, and the 3 is 8. Moving down now, so adding a 0. 3 times 5 is 15, so 5 down and 1 carried over. 3 times 7 is 21, and the 1 is 22. So 2 down and 2 carried over. 3 times 1 is 3, and the 2 is 5. So adding these, 5 and 0 is 5, 7 and 5 is 12, 8 and 2 is 10, and the 1 that we had already makes it 11, so 6,125. Now we'll do 375 times 16. So 6 times 5 is 30, 0 down and 3 carried over. 6 times 7 is 42, and the 3 is 45. So 5 down, 4 carried over. 6 times 3 is 18, and the 4 is 22. Put a 0 down. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 3 is 3. Adding these together, get 0 and 0 equals 0, 5 and 5 equals 10, so 1 is carried over, 2 and 7 is 9, and the 1 is 10, 5 and the 1 6, so 6,000 for this. Now we've got 2 lots of 750, which is 1,500. You could do 2 lots of 700 first, and then 2 lots and 50, add them together, it gives you the same answer. Now we've got these, we're going to add them, so we've got 5 here, we've got 7, we've got 9, and the 5, that is 14, so 4 down and 1 is carried over. We got 1, 2, and the 6 is 8, and the 6 is 14, and the 1 is 15. So we've got that total now, which we're going to need to divide by 90, the frequency. So 15,475 divided by 90. Now we could try and fit 90 into 154 and so on, but what I suggest doing is this. When you say 15,475 divided by 90, it's just like writing a fraction like this. And we know that if we multiply or divide both numbers within this fraction by the same number, we're going to end up having another fraction with the same value. So if I just divide by 10, so this bottom number becomes 9, the denominator. The point of it being that I can then just divide by 9 rather than 90. I can then also, or I need to, divide the top number by 10 as well. So this becomes 1547.5. Remember, we move the decimal point one place to the left when we divide by 10. So I can just put a decimal point here and get rid of this 0 here within the 90. So now I can do how many 9s fit into 15? That is just 1. So what do we have remaining? 15 take away 9 leaves us with 6. How many 9s into 64? That is 7, because 9 times 7 gives us 63. So there is 1 remaining after that. 9, how many 9s now fit into 17? That is going to be still 1, because we can't fit 2. So what do we have remaining? 17 take away 9 leaves us with 8. We've reached this point where we've got a decimal point, so we're going to transfer it over to the answer. How many 9s into 85? That is 9, because 9 times 9 gives us 81. So there is 4 remaining. I can add as many zeros as I want after the decimal point here. So how many 9s into 40? That is going to be 4. 4 times 9 is 36, so we have 4 remaining again. So you can see the pattern. So 4 is recurring. Now we've got to compare that answer to the £171.99. So this is the estimated mean, 171.94. So Tara thinks that she charges less than the estimated mean. Is she correct? No, she charges more. So that is about 5 pence more. So we're going to say no, she charges 5p more. In 2020, the total amount spent on influence across the world was thousands, millions, billions, so 7,680,000,000. Write 7,680,000,000 in words. Doesn't look perfect, but it is correct. Tara has this scatter diagram. The diagram shows the ages of the top influencers in the UK and the numbers of their followers. What is the modal age of these influencers? So we've got to work out the modal age of the influencers. Modal, mode, means the most often one, the most recurring one. So looking at these ages, this one here, there is just one. On the 20, there is just one. So this one here has 3. Is there any with more? That's 3. This seems to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So that seems to be the most common ones. So what is that age? Let's have a look. That's between 20 and 30. Halfway through, that's 25. This one, 26. Let's see, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So that works. So 26 is the model age of the influencers. And I'm going to write it here as well as the final answer. Tara has this scatter diagram. The diagram shows the ages of the top influencers in the UK and the numbers of their followers. What fraction of the influencers under the age of 30 have more than 10 million followers? So 30, age of 30, that's the cutoff point. So we're looking at under 30. So we're not going to include 30. So that is how many of them in total? First of all, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 of them. So that is 20 under 30. But how many of them have more than 10 million followers? Where is 10 million? Number of followers here. So 10 million. So that is 1, 2, 3 of them out of the 20. So 3/20 is the fraction that we need. And this is the end of the first part.